Eric worked with Beyond Stillness through 11 guided reflection sessions to craft and share this powerful narrative. To learn more about our nonprofits, programs, and services, or to sponsor a guest on their story crafting journey, please visit www.beyondstillness.org.
Beyond Stillness, Stories After Stroke is made possible by our guests and tax-deductible donations from friends and listeners like you. Join us in empowering stroke survivors with stories of wisdom, purpose, connection, and hope at www.beyondstillness.org.
Today, we welcome guest Eric Anderson, who discovered his greatest strength in his most vulnerable moment. When a sudden stroke left him completely paralyzed from the neck down, Eric realized he still possessed what he calls his superpower, the ability to choose his thoughts, even when everything else was beyond his control. Join us as Eric shows how he transformed his medical crisis into a masterclass in resilience. He built a positivity plan that changed his recovery's trajectory and learned the profound difference between enduring challenges and embracing them. His story reveals how sometimes our most difficult moments become a gateway to our most meaningful purpose. Thank you for joining us for part 1, Eric Anderson's story. Hello and welcome to Beyond Stillness, Stories After Stroke. Stroke offers a powerful, life-changing shift in perspective. Each colorful memory creates a parable for life's greater teachings, a compass for journeys ahead, and inspired wisdom for unique growth. Beyond Stillness offers a moment of pause for storytelling and reflection. Ultimately, we create a welcoming environment that reveres the moment beyond stroke's paralysis. Still moments unite humanity and divinity. I'm your host, Molly Bucola. As we begin today, we take a moment of pause to honor the way that wisdom has emerged through recovery. And we give thanks. Now, Eric Anderson's story.
Monday, October 24th, 2016 was a beautiful, sunny autumn day in Minnesota. I had my weekly chiropractic visit at 11 o'clock a.m. As the chiropractor finished up, he did a pretty forceful adjustment of my neck. "Wow, I felt a pretty good pop, Doc," I commented, but I felt fine, so I went on with my day. That evening, our son and daughter-in-law, Nick and Gretchen, had us over for dinner. After playing hide and seek with my grandson and little buddy Levi, we sat on the recliner and read some picture books. As I stood up to wash my hands for dinner, I suddenly noticed a strange warmth and numbness in my left cheek. Being a typical guy, I figured I must have pinched a nerve. I'll give it a few minutes. Surely I'll get back to normal soon. I knew something was not right when I then felt that same warmth and numbness moving down my left arm, starting at the shoulder. What's going on? Are these stroke symptoms? My mother had been a nursing director at a convalescent center, so I knew the signs of stroke, but how could I be having a stroke? In that confusing and intense moment, for whatever reason, a conversation with my good friend and cardiologist, Dr. Steve Batista, came to mind. We were discussing the amazing advances in cardiac care. He mentioned in the cardiac world, they refer to the golden hour, the critical window of time for treating heart attacks to get best results. He said in the neuro world, there's an even smaller window for attaining optimal outcomes. Better safe than sorry, I thought. I approached Luella in an urgent yet calm voice. "Dear, I think I'm having stroke symptoms. We should probably go to the ER right now." The nearest emergency room was at Fairview Ridges Hospital in Burnsville. Depending on the lights, we could make it there in 8 to 10 minutes at that time of day, faster than calling 911 and waiting for an ambulance. Before leaving, I felt the need to go to the bathroom. While there, I noticed that my bladder had already emptied. I did not sense it at all. This could not be good. Nick handed me a pair of his sweatpants that I wrestled to put on. My left arm was numb. As I walked out of the bathroom, I felt disoriented and had trouble balancing. I could not tell where my left foot was landing. Luella escorted me to our van using her body to support my left side, then opened the passenger door. As my left foot touched the floorboard, that whole leg collapsed. I lurched awkwardly into the seat, bumping my head against the door frame. Luella scooted me into the seat and unfastened my seatbelt. Fortunately, we only had one red light with about a 10-second wait. En route, my right leg went numb. Now both legs were numb. Only a couple minutes more, I thought. By the time we pulled up to the ER, I could no longer feel or control anything below my neck. Luella rushed in to get help. It seemed like an eternity to me as I sat there with my racing thoughts. But within 2 minutes, they whisked me to an ER bay where I was placed on a gurney and my clothes were replaced with a gown. I'd found the secret to quick ER admittance. While lying there, my left side would move and was almost ballistic. If my arm had moved, I wasn't aware of it. I couldn't find my left arm or leg. I had lost the ability to control my motions. I was watching a body, my body, move as if it were somebody else's. They put needles in that body and I didn't feel a thing. Everything below my jawline was heavy and tingling, like it had all fallen asleep. A myriad of leads and sensors were attached to my head and body. I never lost consciousness, and I could see the array of monitors with their color-coded displays of heart rate, blood pressure, oxygen levels, etc. My blood pressure was fluctuating, reaching peaks of 249 over 149. My body was pushing hard to get blood and oxygen into parts of the brain. I could not sense heat, cold, or touch with my right side. When I turned my head back and forth, I felt like my body was swinging in a hammock. Although my speech was clear, I continuously cleared my throat. The nurses were worried about a potential swallow issue. In my situation, they ruled out TPA. A few minutes later, my chest felt restricted, unable to expand. They placed a BiPAP oxy mask over my mouth and nose to supply pressurized oxygen. While waiting in the gurney for the availability of an MRI, my mind was racing. What's happening? I'm watching my body go offline. It's surreal. The doctors wondered out loud, can I breathe? Is this what it's like to slip away? Will I be able to say my goodbyes? What's going to happen to Luella, my sons, their families, my mom, my siblings? Is this the end? After a couple of hours, the MRI was performed and we received the report. You've had a bilateral dissection of the vertebral arteries in your neck that cause clotting and lack of blood flow to your cerebellum and brainstem, which is critical for life support. Did anything happen today that would cause trauma to the neck? The only thing I could think of is my chiropractic adjustment. When the doctors heard this and looked again at the scans, I could see in their faces that they were confident that this was the cause. The fact that both vertebral arteries dissected at the same time and the location of damage leaves little doubt, they told me. I realized there was nothing I could physically do to control my situation in that moment. That scary, anxious, confusing, disorienting, bewildering moment. I was in a vacuum of powerlessness. Just then, the words of Ram Dass, which I had shared with others for decades, came to mind. All suffering is due to resistance, meaning we bring suffering upon ourselves when we try to control that which cannot be controlled. I don't know exactly what happened then and there, but it was powerful. Somehow calm washed away the chaos. Maybe I reached a breaking point, unable to endure more. I don't know exactly what happened then and there, but it was powerful. Somehow calm washed away the chaos. Maybe I reached a breaking point, unable to mentally endure more. Maybe I was so overwhelmed that I accepted that I was not in control. Whatever it was, I felt at peace and free. In that serene moment, I remembered my superpower, the power to choose my thoughts. It's the one power no one can take from me, and I will have it until my dying breath. Throughout that night, I felt adrift in a sea of uncertainty, trapped in a body unresponsive from the jaw down. In that darkness, I realized the fact that the only thing in my control was my power to choose my thoughts. I vowed to use a positive response to any obstacle or event I would face. This would not be an easy task. I knew I would need a plan to stack things in my favor. I would also need the assistance of others. The following morning, I was transferred via ambulance to Fairview Southdale Hospital, which had advanced specialized stroke and cardiac care units. Luella arrived shortly thereafter. Once we got settled in the ICU and all the preliminary medical tasks were accomplished, Luella and I had some time alone in the room. I shared with her all that I'd been thinking about throughout the night. I asked for her help and ideas in creating a positivity plan. Above all, I was hopeful and wanted to control my environment. We agreed to use only positive words. We would speak of healing and hopeful expectations of the future. I vowed not to use the word can't. I would simply state that I was not able to do something yet. Also, we knew our associations were critical. We could only surround ourselves with uplifting people. We would instruct visitors, asking that they not say, "I'm so sorry," but rather say, "I'm excited for your healing." There was only one incident where I, with a smile on my face, had to ask a friend who slipped up to please go back outside the room and re-enter using positive words. For my part, I chose to greet each person with a smile. Fortunately, I could control those muscles. I monitored my inputs. I chose not to watch TV news. I listened to uplifting music on my phone, and eventually, Luella brought my CD player to fill the room with my favorite songs. The musical Hamilton was extremely popular at that time. The song, "I'm Not Throwing Away My Shot," became my mantra. On day 6 in the stroke unit, we met with the neurologist, Dr. Zukov. "I predict recovery," he stated. "However, given the severity of your stroke and the complex combination of symptoms, no one can say exactly what your future will look like. Typically, stroke survivors regain about 80% of their eventual recovery within the first year. The remaining 20% may come over the next 2 to 5 years or longer. A lot depends on you." That word, recovery, was all I needed to hear. To me, it sounded positive, encouraging. I vowed, "I'm not suffering from a stroke. I'm engaging in stroke recovery." Yet questions and doubts still crept into my mind. Will I be able to walk again? What will my quality of life be like? There is no certainty and lots of fear. Doctors kept saying, "We just don't know what this will look like." There is no stable ground and no guarantees. I had to confront myself with the question, what do I choose to believe? I knew being positive is not a one-time decision. It's a habit of consciously and consistently deciding to choose a positive response when confronted with doubts and fears and uncertainties. The following day, I was transferred to the acute rehab center where I would spend 5 weeks. While there, one evening, Heather visited my room in a bright tie-dyed headscarf and smock, and just as vibrant personality. She introduced herself as the night nurse. I was instantly comfortable in her presence as she lit up the space. She began to share about her son. "Jameson is 18 and blind. He loves life and really enjoys beep ball." "What's beep ball?" I asked. "Think of it as baseball, but everything makes noise. The ball beeps so players who are visually impaired can track it by sound. When you're batting, you're listening for that beep, then running towards bases that buzz. Meanwhile, the fielders are chasing down the beeping ball to get you out." "Wow, Heather, isn't it amazing how when we lose our sense of sight, our sense of hearing becomes so much more acute?" Her response led to an aha moment of insight. "Eric, our hearing does not become more acute. We just learn to focus on it and trust it." Trust it. Those words resonated with me. At that time, my sense of balance and proprioception were significantly impaired. When I sat with my eyes closed, I often felt as if I were falling over. I had to trust that I would stay upright. It was then that I realized that I had to augment my superpower. I had the power to choose my thoughts and to choose to trust that all would work out. I needed to continually choose faith over fear. About a week later, I was sitting in my wheelchair in my room waiting for Dr. Crow and the therapy team to visit me during their morning rounds. As they were approaching my room, I overheard Dr. Crow discussing my case with the others on the team. "I wish we could bottle what he has." That comment made me realize and appreciate the power of a positive attitude. It is the secret ingredient. After my stay in the acute rehab center, where I had had a single room in which I could control my environment for positivity, the music, exercise, sleep, visitors, and meditation time, it was time to transfer to Courage Kenny Transitional Rehab, where he had arranged for a private room so I could maintain the positivity without infringing on others. However, when we arrived, we were informed that due to unforeseen circumstances, I would not have the private room. Luella could see the disappointment on my face. "This will all work out okay," she assured me. "Perhaps there's a reason for you to have a roommate." My first roommate was an 18-year-old quadriplegic, injured in a car crash after his high school graduation with only slight movement in his hands. That night, as he was playing Call of Duty on his TV with an adaptive keypad, he did not share much. His few comments were laced with anger and depression. He played the game with loud noise and flashing video late into the evening. How could I possibly relate to him? How could I help him? The following morning, Luella arrived for a visit. The young man went to another room to prepare for his discharge. Shortly thereafter, his mother arrived with a moving cart. I could sense her anguish, sadness, and fear. She was alone and had to carry all his possessions to her vehicle. Some of the items, like the TV, were bulky and heavy. I so wanted to be able to help her in some fashion. I could do nothing but sit there in my wheelchair, feeling helpless. I had never been unable to lend a hand or felt this feeling in my life. Is this what my life will be like? Is this all that I'll be able to do in my life? At that moment, I was hit by a tsunami of emotion. Tears flooded from my eyes, and I began sobbing uncontrollably. This was the first time I had cried since the stroke, the first time in 6 weeks. "What's wrong?" Luella asked. I've always enjoyed helping other people with whatever was needed at the time. It led to personal connections. So it hit me hard when I realized that I'm not physically able to lift a finger to help this woman who is suffering with so much to carry. What value can I add to other people's lives? Luella sat closer and gently put her hand on my shoulder. "You will continue to help others. It'll look different now and probably will change in the future." I realized that I had to let go of my plans and be open to new ways of looking at my life and my purpose. I was also deeply grateful my wife was there and knew just what I needed to hear at that moment. She is a blessing. Over the next few weeks, I'd wheel to the cafeteria for meals. One day, while sitting at the circle table, I heard Jesse exclaim, "I did it." "You did what, Jesse?" "I opened the milk carton by myself." Jesse could only use one hand, which made this seemingly simple task a monumental accomplishment. Our whole table celebrated. We clapped, cheered, and encouraged as able. Surely it would have been a standing ovation in any other room. In that moment, I realized that I was in the midst of something special. We all had something to offer each other in our own ways. The feeling was no less powerful than a traditional standing ovation. Actually, it was more powerful. My mind trailed back to Luella's words. Yes, I will continue to help others. It will look different now. It will change in the future. Jesse offered me a gift too, his own resilience and joy. That experience inspired me to focus on encouraging others in the gym, reminding them of how far they have come and assuring them that the recovery would progress. I showed appreciation for my therapists, nurses, and staff members. I vowed to be the bright spot in their day. I enjoyed letting family members of my fellow patients know that their loved ones were making progress. I found that by uplifting others, I was enhancing my own healing. While I was at Courage Kenny, I had one overarching goal. I'm going to walk out of here. I chose to embrace my rehab and not just endure it or resist it. My mantra was, what is the most I can do to progress? instead of what is the least that's required of me. I made a habit of doing 10% more than my therapist asked of me because I believed my recovery would then occur 10% faster. I recognize that I am in control of how much and the quality of the effort I put into rehab. I never called it work. I chose to call it play and make a game of things so I could relax and look forward to it. Just like in sports, things didn't always go the way I wanted or expected, but all I needed to do was bring my very best effort and focus to each day's rehab sessions. I could then accept each day's outcomes, learning from and grateful for every experience. I sought out every opportunity I could to challenge myself, forcing my brain to learn and rewire. I participated in pool therapy, adaptive wheelchair yoga, and adaptive wheelchair tai chi. I practiced meditation and visualization. I took advantage of acupuncture. Needles didn't bother me. That's one benefit of not being able to sense touch or pain. I enjoyed working out in the gym on my own time. Once I progressed to using a loft strand crutch with one arm, I would walk every night in the cafeteria while everyone else had gone to their room. At times, when people would comment that they wouldn't be willing to put in that amount of effort, I would just smile. But in my mind, I would repeat two phrases that motivated me. Too tough for you, just right for me. And I will do today what others won't, so I can do tomorrow what others can't. On March 3rd, 2017 at 2:52 p.m., I accomplished my goal. I did walk out of Courage Kenny without assistance to our van. It was a slow 50-yard walk with small, teetering, shuffling steps, but I was ecstatic. On the ride home, my heart was filled with gratitude as I reminisced about the wonderful people who had been put on my path during this journey. Many years ago, I made my life's mission to uplift others and add value to their lives. Over decades, I invested time, energy, and resources in reading books and listening to talks on success, health, relationships, leadership, and serving. I loved coaching, in particular soccer, emphasizing results beyond the wins and the losses. I became certified as a holistic health coach. I mentored and tutored students. I found all this very fulfilling and was excited to impact others in a positive way. In retrospect, I realized that through those experiences, I was being trained for the most amazing and engaging journey of my life. It's not what I expected. Through what many people might call a tragedy, I've had my world expanded and my life has even more meaning. I truly believe I am now a better coach. In the 8 years since emerging from Courage Kenny, I have immersed myself in the study of neuroplasticity and continue to challenge myself. While progress is slow, I have not plateaued out, nor do I expect to. You see, it's my choice.
Storytelling empowers us to share our experiences in a way that invites others to reflect on their own. In closing, we offer a reflection question, an opportunity to spark dialogue with yourself, friends, family, or fellow stroke survivors. In a moment, I'll read the community conversation prompt. You'll also find it in the episode description. In what ways have you chosen your environment or thoughts in order to create a positive space? We'd love to hear your reflections. Join the conversation on Facebook or Instagram at Stories After Stroke. Thank you for listening to Part 1, Eric Anderson's story. For the full story, please listen to Part 2, Eric Anderson's interview.
Beyond Stillness, Stories After Stroke is made possible by our guests and tax-deductible donations from friends and listeners like you. Join us in empowering stroke survivors with stories of wisdom, purpose, connection, and hope at www.beyondstillness.org. Another way to support is to like, share, or subscribe to our weekly show.
Each colorful memory creates a parable for life's greater teachings, a compass for journeys ahead, and inspired wisdom for unique growth. Eric reminds us that we all possess an unshakable superpower, the ability to choose our thoughts, even in the most challenging moments. Remember, as part of the stroke community, you are more than supportive. You are inspirational. If this story resonated with you, please like, share, subscribe, or leave a review to help others find these powerful stories too. To support more stroke survivors in articulating and publicly sharing their stories, please consider donating to Beyond Stillness, Stories After Stroke. Together, we amplify diverse stories of wisdom, purpose, connection, and hope.